You're watching the Wellness Hour, news that makes you healthier. I'm Randy Alvarez. Today's topic, happiness, how to get it, how to keep it, and how to be happy at work. With us, we have an expert on this topic. For the last 20 years, she's been a practice consultant running wellness programs. With us, we have Nancy Drew. Nancy, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Now, we've had you on the program before.
Yes.
Talking about a variety of things. So, happy and healthy at work. Now, for people that don't know you, give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been a management consultant for many years. 10 of those in practice management, dentists, doctors, anti-aging, biohormone, all that different thing. And I teach for the university, and so I teach practice management.
Like you speak at San Diego State?
Oh gosh, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing is that when you go into these organizations, they're just not happy. They're not productive. They're having retention issues, and things aren't good. And it made me think, hey, how come? How come we have this problem?
So there's like in a way, there's a happiness problem. We were talking in the green room. A lot of things, I guess, can contribute to this. That you've informed me. Things like looking at social media, Facebook, Instagram. You pointed out in the green room. Everybody seems to be doing fantastically on. It's like a wonderful life on Facebook. And what do you have to say about that? Do you think? And you say that that's contributing to a lot of this.
It's a problem. Because what we see is not reality, and it's called social comparison. And social comparison will make us unhappy. That's not a good thing. We look and think, I didn't get as many likes as this person, or look at this person's husband is so much better than mine, or look at their vacations, and we start to compare ourselves with others. And it's not that we're seeing even reality. We're seeing somebody's photoshopped pictures or only the best days of their lives. We don't see that last week they had a crisis.
You called it a highlight reel.
It's
what we're seeing is a highlight reel. Interesting.
And a lot of the photographs are, photoshopped. And so we're not looking at reality. And even people, when they Photoshop their own picture, they are now going to plastic surgeons and saying, I want to look like this version of myself. So they're doing it to themselves. And in fact, social media is, worse than not making enough money on the impact of their happiness levels.
Because people worry about money, and you're saying that there's some studies that show
that the social media has a much more negative impact than not having enough money.
Is that right? So you look like you have it all together. And I know your story. This is a big story, and we only have a short 10 minutes together. So I didn't want to cloud it with that. They could go to your website to hear that. But I mean, you were temporarily homeless at one time. Left with just a child. I guess somebody just walked out on you. And so you've had some challenges in your life.
Because people will say, well, of course you could be happy. But happiness is a choice. Even at that situation in that time in my life, where I was struggling, definitely, I chose to be happy. Not like, hey, everything is good, but okay, here's the reality. It's not good, but it's not as bad as it could be. And I have a choice to make. I could either say, wow, look at all this stuff that's not good, and keep going down and render myself unable to take action. Or I could say, at this time, this isn't good, but it's not going to stay this way. And here are the things to be grateful for. Here are the things that are good. And give myself the energy to move forward and get the heck out of that spot,
So, one of the things, look, for the last 20 years, we've been doing this program. And I meet some of the most successful medical doctors, dentists in the country. Some are extremely happy people, some not so much. The people that are very happy, I always like to pick their brains. It seems like they work on being happy. They are worried about negative programming, like the news. They're afraid of the news almost. Like Randy, it's negative, or dark, dramatic things on TV. Do you find that too? That it's almost like a habit. You got to work on being happy.
Happiness. Well, happiness is a big deal these days. People are studying it. Why are these people happy? Before we used to study why are people not happy and try to get them up to the norm, which which is the average of mediocrity, right? Let's study what makes people happy. Now, what happens is that we get up and we listen to the news. The radio goes on. on TV, whatever it is, it's not great news. We're having this disaster over here, politics, infighting, a lot of negativity on the news. And so that's the messaging that we are taking in, and we start to believe that that's normal. So the lens that our reality is going through is negativity, 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 and then we start seeing the world through this lens.
Okay.
And so now we have a thought of what reality is. But if we looked at, things differently, it's a conscious choice because the brain goes negative.
Is it somewhat of a detox you have to, okay, so somebody's watching this, they're watching some news, maybe they're not as happy as they should be.
Right.
Do you have to detox off of this negative programming?
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with negative friends, things like that?
Right. You can change your mindset within 5 minutes. So it is a choice. It is a choice to choose to be happy. Not, hey, I'm so happy, life is great, but hey, let's look at the positive of this.
So there are techniques you share,
yes.
strategies you share to what? Help manage their emotions?
Yeah, it's habits. Right?
Okay.
It's a habit. So what we would do is, if somebody wasn't happy, say, let's just take 5 minutes, and every day, every morning, let's think about 3 new things that that were great that day. Like 3 things that happened, and they have to be
like
different.
at night, at the end of the day, you got to do a recap of what's good about that day?
Exactly.
Okay.
What were they? And then why were they good? What does that actually mean? Let's this, and this. But what did that really mean to you? My daughter said that she loved me. That means, we have a great relationship, and I'm happy for that, and I've enjoyed that. What is it? But every day it needs to be 3 new things. You do that for 21 days. So 21 days makes a habit, right?
All right.
So now you've got that, and then what you're training your brain to scan for good things. Because what our brain does naturally is we scan for the bad. What's not right here, right?
Okay.
We're scanning for things that aren't
like
good.
Like a protective mechanism we have built into us.
Yeah, so we are rewiring our brains, and that's just one small thing. But even just sitting down and writing out things that maybe you did that were kind for others, things that other people did that were kind for you, you spend 5 minutes doing that, and that exercise lifts your level of happiness and optimism.
Okay, interesting. As I'm listening to this, right, and we talked, I feel like I'm kind of a happy person, but I have had issues with nutrition, right? Overeating, whatever. I always say I've been on a diet my whole life, but some people, they want to get thin, they want to get lean, they want to get healthy, but you tell them don't eat gluten, dairy, or soy, don't read positive books about nutrition and health, and they're saying, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to do the work it takes to get happy. And as I'm listening to this, if you're in a rut, if you're miserable, hearing Nancy Drew saying, well, at night, just do a recap, 3 things that you're grateful for, it's like easier said than done, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, what happens is we focus on
But you have to do the
small
work.
things.
I mean, you're going to have to do the work. It's not going to be easy. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. You've got to decide. But once you decide, then it becomes natural. It becomes a habit. Instead of saying you can't eat all these things, say, hey, you could eat these things.
All right.
Here's all the things you can eat. So let's not focus on what we cannot have. Let's focus on what we can have. And people aren't happy because the goalposts are in the wrong place. Like, I'll be happy when this happens. I'll be happy, like I mentioned to you, I'll be happy once I get married. Then it's like, man, I'll be happy once I get divorced, or I'll be happy once I get that house. Yeah. Then you get the house, and you're like, this house isn't big enough. So what we're doing is we're putting happiness behind the goal. Instead of saying, hey, I'm happy now, and things happen because we attract in, right? And I'm happy. People that are happier get promoted faster. In businesses, there's studies that show they're 32% more productive. Salespeople are 37% more successful with what they sell. And there's all kinds of studies that happiness is a real competitive advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you think about people. Like, oh, that guy's a positive guy, or that woman's very positive. It's almost like what you leave with people. You're positive. But the opposite is true. You say, oh, boy, that negative. I have a neighbor like that. It's like
hopefully he's not watching.
No, he comes in. No, he knows who he is. He loves being miserable. Like everything, like everything is miserable. And but do you think you could help people like this?
Yes, there's studies that show.
You've seen it happen?
Well, yeah, because once we do these easy 2-minute exercises, 21 days, things like this, very easy stuff, not big stuff. What happens? They could be testing low-level pessimists. And then after the 21 days, they're moderate optimists.
Okay.
And even children, 4 years old, you're doing things with them and, more positive reinforcement. They test higher, at, different things like putting the block, the peg in the block, that round thing. They're more successful. So you can change. People will say, well, I was just born negative, that's me. But actually,
you hear that? Okay.
They're a glass half empty person. But actually what happens is that you can see 50% is genetic. It is. Right?
Okay.
10% are the circumstances that happen to you. And then 40% is what I think those circumstances mean.
The meaning you place on
The
things.
meaning that you place on
Okay.
that, what you tell yourself. Think, man, I just got, this is not fair, now my life is over. Or you can say, hey, you know what, that wasn't great, but it taught me that I can get through these things. It taught me I'm a lot stronger than I thought it was. I am grateful that it wasn't worse than it was. Now I can help other people. Right?
Okay.
There's a choice.
Okay, good. Now, let's talk about your corporate wellness program,
Yeah.
what you're doing for businesses.
Yes, yeah. So 98% of companies have wellness programs.
And by the way, we should mention, you studied at Yale University's program on happiness.
Yes, the science
one of their
of
most,
happiness.
Yeah, one of their most
Yeah.
popular,
It is.
I guess, programs.
It is, which tells you what are we doing in the world, that this is the most popular program.
The science of happiness.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're
I
searching.
interrupted. My question was to you before I interrupted, was this corporate wellness programs, what you're doing for companies.
Right. So what happens is, we have all these wellness programs. And a lot of times the wellness programs are because we need to reduce cost. And retention is a huge issue. We just cannot keep people. We're not competitive. So what companies do is they say, we have the wellness program, we really don't know what to do with it. How do we make people participate? No one's doing it. We just don't know. And it gets dumped on the HR person's desk.
Okay.
You put it together. Well, they may not have that expertise. Maybe they do. But they will come to our company and we do, if they want it, an assessment. And the assessment would be anonymous in some cases. It's a self-reporting situation. How do I feel about this? How do I feel about that? Am I on antidepressant drugs? Do I think I'm safe at work? Different things, right? And then we'll interview people as well. And we work with the management team, and where are we? What does this look like?
So you go in and help with morale?
Yeah.
You get the employees to start thinking positively about the company, about themselves, about their families. Also the management, same way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will take the temperature of what do we have. We need to benchmark somehow. Are we broken? How are things looking, right? What's going on? And we give that to them, and then they can take that, and sometimes they do. They can, we're going to do this, or maybe they'll say, we need some help with this, and that's great. I'm honored to be able to help them set up programs, and it could be benefits. It could be exercise. It could be bringing speakers in to kick that off. What we're looking for is social connectivity at work. And then people stay and they're happier.
So you were telling me there's a lot of people that don't like going to work. They do it just because of the paycheck.
Yeah, and they're not going to stay.
Okay.
Especially right now with
So
the
how
millennials.
do you turn that around? I mean, so what's the cause of it?
Yeah.
They're not getting along with everybody else. They're not fitting in.
They don't feel like they have purpose there. They're being asked to do more, and we're burning people out. It's a high burnout. In companies, 1 in 5 people are suffering from depression or mental stress of some kind. It's a high issue. Millennials, not sticking around. The workforce is more competitive than it ever has been. There's a lot of options to go somewhere else. And if they don't feel that there's connectivity, if there's purpose, if what they do matters, they're out of there.
Is appreciation the number one thing?
Appreciation is huge. Yeah.
Because we could all look as an employer. I mean, we could all do a better job at that.
Yeah. It's one thing to say, hey, great job.
Because we think it. I mean, I'll leave here sometimes going, that was really great what she did.
Yeah.
And then I get in my car and I go, why didn't I tell her? And then the next day I forget to tell her.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we say, hey, good job.
Yeah.
Hey, good job, and then we change the goalpost.
So
hey,
that's not
thanks
good
for
enough?
making your sales results, and then we change the goalpost.
So
make
that's
it higher.
not good enough, according to you.
Not good enough.
Okay.
No, we need to appreciate. Hey, I really appreciate it when you did this because this. Here's
Okay.
the impact you're having. Because how will they know?
All right. Now, but and here's my only issue. Okay, so you go into a company, you work with the management team, you work with the employees. What if an employer says, well, if Nancy Drew comes in, what if she turns all my employees against the management team? You know, bad managers.
Right.
I mean, is it really the role of a manager within a company to be responsible for their well-being or their outlook on life or their cheerleader? I want to ask you, I say that as a devil's advocate, not like I'm endorsing that. I'm just saying.
It's a great question. So when I come in, I'm a partner. I'm the cheerleader behind the leadership team.
Okay.
You know, I'm empowering them to be that person. You know, I may kick off. They may ask me to kick off something, and I will because I'm a speaker, and you know that's what I do. But I'm behind them. I'm helping them. You know? So it could be suddenly you've got messages on the walls. You know, you're in an environment of health, right? So that means instead of donuts every week, you get this fruit delivery.
Right.
Instead of you know, people just work. You have a table, a tennis table set up in one part. You've got words on the wall of energize, relax, you know, collaboration, teamwork, you know, things that are constant reminders as you walk through the workplace that we're a team. You know, you have events. Exercise comes in at lunch for 20 minutes every day and something different. And that's not me. You know, that's what I help set up within the organization. Whatever's right. One size fits one size.
So you may go in there once a week for 12 weeks?
If they need
How does your program work?
So sometimes they'll say, we just need you to put us on the right path. You know, let's do the assessment. This is what we're thinking. And that's their home, right? I'm there to help them reach that.
So you do like a consultation, then you say, this is what I think I could do for you.
Correct.
And then they make a decision whether they want to hire you or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it'll be a well-being waste report is what we call it.
Okay.
So it's like, are we wasting the well-being of our people? What's the opportunity of increased productivity? So where's the money? You know, what are we missing out on for expense here? You know, what could we increase by? So I'll help them. And sometimes I'll do the whole thing for them. So we don't want it, just set it up, and then we'll take from there. That's great.
So I think, look, every employer, every company would agree that with happier employees, everybody's going to perform better.
Yes.
But now, is there a difference between motivating your employees and helping your employees to be happy?
Well, that's a great question. I'm
on a roll today.
You are. Motivation is sometimes temporary. You know, what we need is something that's sustainable.
Okay.
Yeah. So we need to set up a workplace, an environment that fosters us to do our very best.
You know, the big companies, I read books about the big companies, you know, like Google.
Yes.
You know, they're all doing this.
Yes,
they have these coaches. They have psychotherapists in there. They have a lot of things to do it. And I'm seeing a trend where more and more small companies are saying, look, if we could empower our employees, if we could make them more positive, more happy. So this is part of that.
Oh,
so small or large?
It's small or large. You know, they're 10 times more creative. You know, the absentee goes down. The teamwork goes up.
I mean, because you spend 80% of your life, I don't know what the numbers are, but most of your life at work.
Yes, you do.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
So most people, are you saying that maybe after they do, you call it your happy and healthy transformation. They go through this transformation, they get out of bed looking forward to go to work?
Yeah.
Maybe even work might even be happier than their home life?
It could be, you know, they have friends there because now they're, you know, a collaborative environment. So you're not looking as much at the office politics or, man, you know, this isn't good, that complaining. We have an exercise that we do and I love it.
Okay.
It's a wristband, you know, and happy and healthy wristband, or they could have their own wristband. And it's to create a complaint-free environment. And so when you hear yourself complaining, you could say, you know, I don't like what I'm wearing today, or boy, you know, what's that jerk of my boss are doing this, or, you know, they shouldn't have asked me that, whatever it is. You take that wristband and you move it over to the other wrist. And then when you complain again, you move it over. And until for 21 days, you are not having that negative messaging in your head, and you're not sharing those negative conversations with the people at work. If you are around positive, optimistic people, right? Reality people that are based in reality, but they're optimistic and they have a solution for the challenges, you're going to be much more optimistic yourself.
Is it tough to get these unhappy people to accept responsibility that they might be the problem? I'll never forget, 20 years ago, I had to let somebody go.
Yeah.
And he was the drama person of the whole business. I mean, drama was everywhere.
Yeah.
and I'm letting him go. And I said to him, I said, do you think, I probably would have handled it different today, but I said, do you think you have anything to do with this problem?
Yeah.
No. And it was like textbook
Yes.
of somebody in denial that they have anything to do with it, right?
Yeah.
So do you believe that, I mean, do you have to have kind of a tough love meeting, come to Jesus meeting with an employee saying, look, your experience, this misery you're facing, you may have something to do with it?
Well, a lot of people don't want to take that responsibility. I think we all know someone like that.
Okay.
But, you know, I have seen situations that when they can view it differently, it can change. And that goes back to the testing of the pessimists.
Okay.
And then testing them afterwards and having them see that transformation over to an optimist. And not a high-level optimist, but definitely an improvement. You know, you keep this going for 6 months. What's the improvement then? Right?
It's big. So it's
Pretty big. There's one company that I wasn't dealing with, but someone else was. They had their health and wellness program for 10 years. In that 10 years, at the end of it, they saved $136 per employee per month on their healthcare costs. Just because people were happier, endorphins, you know, make you healthier. You know, so you have lack of claims, you have lack of absenteeism, and it just makes financial sense.
Are some people just born happy?
Well, you know,
Or is everybody born
say
happy?
that.
And then
You
we
know,
learn to be...
It's how we view reality. You know, it is genetic. You know, 50% is genetic, and then of course, you know, well, what does that mean? You know, what's happening here with me? So anybody can choose. It's a choice.
So you have to work on it. It's like positive self-talk, in a way,
That's right.
managing your internal dialogue.
Yeah.
That's part of your program.
Right.
Now, you have tips. We're literally a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
You have 2 exercises I wanted you to share with us.
Right.
And then also daily tips to a happy and healthy life.
One of the things I just love doing is random acts of kindness, and that is, you know, a great thing for helping people. So we'll say to an organization, we want you this week to do 5 random acts of kindness. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to be anything expensive, but I will tell you that Starbucks is the most popular random act of kindness. But you could be holding the door open for someone. You could, you know, help somebody with their grocery. You could do whatever, right?
Buy them a cup of coffee.
You could, yes, you could. Okay? So these random acts of kindness, if you do this within the week, if you do it all scattered through, it doesn't have as much of a lift, but if you take that 5 random acts of kindness and you do it on one day, you will test much higher in your positivity.
That's worth trying. I mean, why not?
What do you have to lose?
Now, here's another thing, and I'm pulling away from this, that, okay, look, I know you were a competitor for physical fitness.
Yes.
Like fitness competitions. And people might look at you, you don't wake up this way. That means you have to eat right, get plenty of rest, drink food. I mean, you have supplements you take. It's like you have to work at it. Is it the same way with happiness?
Yeah, you are going to design
Like when you see
your
a
life.
super happy person, do you think that they're maybe working on it?
Yeah,
unknowingly
I
or
believe so.
knowingly?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, you can either live a life by default or a life by design, and it's up for you to decide that. So you could choose, I'm going to eat a pizza and sit on the couch and watch these movies, you know, or you could choose, hey, you know what, I think I'm going to go outside and I'm going to get some fresh air, I'm going to drink some water. Doesn't mean that you do it every day, but it means that you do it more than you don't.
So you need positive coaches in your life.
Yes, you need positive influences. If you live within half a mile of somebody that's positive, your happiness level increases. And then you're better in your relationships, you're a better parent, you're a better partner, you're a better manager or an employee. It's a ripple.
You know, I was talking to you in the green room. I said, you know, I've been doing this 20 years, just, you know, the show for 20 years.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I'm losing my edge sometimes. I said, you know, we
Yes.
want to keep that edge. But when I look back, just as you're talking, and I'm paying attention to what you're saying, but I used to do a lot more seminars, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Deepak Chopra.
Yeah.
I was reading, I still read a lot of books, listen to audiobooks. But when you go to these live events, you hear other people's stories with big dreams and they're happy. They have things to look forward to.
Yeah.
And so I think we all need a coach. And
It
you're a
helps.
happiness coach.
Yeah,
What do you call yourself, by the way?
I coach. I call myself a management coach, but
Okay.
you know, I coach. You know, for years it's been on business. You know, but then you see these super successful people, and they're like, Nancy, I'm not happy. But I've got this wife. I've got this great practice. I've you know, things are great. I'm healthy, but I'm not happy. and so.
So they're working on their business, but they're not working on their happiness.
Exactly. So what happened, when I was doing, practice management and management consulting, I would see these super successful people that had everything and think, man, they must be happy, but they weren't. And that made me realize, what's happening? And so then I, took the course, through Yale and teaching and I've been coaching for, many, many years. And it's like, okay, life changes when we become happy. Not I'll be happy after, be happy now. And how do we rewire ourselves?
So you give them techniques to rewire themselves.
Yes.
You have a list of daily tips to be healthy and happier. Okay, so takeaway number 1 is pick one day out of the week to do 5 random acts of kindness.
Exactly. Random acts of kindness.
And you'll
make you
feel
happier.
differently.
Yes.
It'll put you in a good mood.
Yes, it will.
Can't be in a bad mood after that. Okay, so what are some of these tips?
Yeah. The other tip is to stop and journal. Write out kind things that you did for other people, kind things that other people did for you. Get yourself focused on that. Especially if you're being overwhelmed, stop. Take a time out. Just write. Just take 5 10 minutes to write it all out. You will lift your own poor feelings. The other is get into a complaint-free environment. Use the wristband, whatever it is. Some people say, oh, it should be something that you snap, and I no, I'm focused on happiness, not pain and suffering.
Okay.
So take the wristband exercise. Dopamine, dopamine makes us happy. So get out, exercise, get fresh air. It's important.
Okay, and you've seen transformations?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
People that
I've
somewhat in a rut,
yeah,
and it's turned around.
It has turned around. I've had so many clients over the years, that were sick, and then through just different processes that we might put them through. Now happy, weight is under control, married, children. Successful in a career, and other people not able to get out of bed, like really bad, to now energy and excitement and creativity and doing things, and of course, byproduct of this is health. Of course, falls right in line.
So you look at their nutrition. You give them advice on how to eat.
Yes.
You get them sleeping more. On your
yes.
This is what I'm reading. I mean, you're helping them with sleep.
Yeah.
Because obviously, after a good night's sleep, you're more productive.
Yeah.
But some people can't sleep.
Yeah, some people can't sleep, and so there's reasons for that. So how do I help myself get a peaceful night's sleep? So we help with that. Sleep is important for happiness.
Okay, good. So corporate wellness.
Yes.
And but it's happiness. You think there's not enough? Because
Yeah.
we all hear about corporate wellness or the buzzword corporate wellness or creating this incredible culture. But this is almost a little bit different.
It's a culture
the happy
of
company.
happiness. Yeah.
I mean, cultural happiness.
Yeah, it's the culture of happiness. And a culture of happiness, you feel appreciated. What happens is we get our jobs and we think, wow, I got this new job. I'm so excited. And you celebrate. And then a year down the road, it's like, oh, I've got this job. I got to go to work. And you're not happy. You're not grateful. And we need to make sure that we don't forget there's good things. Let's focus on them. Instead of training our brain to look at what's bad, let's look at what's good.
Now, I know you're a person of faith. You go to church. I mean, that's a big part of this.
Yes.
But I think you got to listen to positive books, listen to audio books, maybe go. I mean, it seems like, look, the people that are most successful have coaches.
Yes.
Like everybody, I mean, there's not one that said that doesn't have coaches.
Yeah. Well,
or is it ongoing reading something? Their coach might not be physical in person, but they're reading books.
Yeah. You can't say, hey, I'm going to change right now. This is it. Let's change. That doesn't work. Right? That's why you see all these failed diets and things like that. It helps to have a coach. Baseball has a coach. Football has a coach. We have coaches. Kids at school have tutors. We have people helping us be successful. You can't do it by yourself. But some people think, okay, well, I can't have a coach, but I can watch videos. I can, seek this out.
But what if somebody says, and I'm not trying to be negative here, right? But what if somebody, because I'm thinking about the person that thinks, I tried that. I tried, waking up, talking about 10 things I'm grateful for.
Right.
At the end of the day, I tried saying, okay, what great happened to me today? What was good about today? And it didn't work.
Right.
Just like somebody says, I tried the low carb and it didn't work. They tried it one day.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So that's the same I mean, nutrition, getting healthy
Yes.
is the same as getting healthy with your attitude.
I'm hearing
You
it.
got to work on it.
That's right. So, when I help people on health and nutrition, they'll say, gosh, Nancy, I've been working out all week and, I haven't lost any weight and I'm not seeing any muscle. Well, it took you probably longer than a week to gain, 50 pounds or to feel sick, and we are human beings. Human beings take time to change. It doesn't happen instantly. So we need to, maybe one day, I forgot how to do that. I didn't do it, but just stick with it.
Now, I know you've been lecturing on this for like 20 years. I mean, you could do 16 hours on this particular topic, and we're only spending about, a short half hour, so I know it's a big topic. If somebody wants to have a consultation with you,
love it.
or if somebody wants to know more about what you can do for their company, what do you say to them? Or they want to hire you as a personal coach. So what do you say?
Well, of course, welcome that. Of course, it's an honor to work with people.
How do they get involved?
What they would do is go to the website. It's happyandhealthy.biz.
Okay.
And there's blogs on there. There's tips on there. They can read. All the stats are alarming. The good news stats.
And they can talk to you?
They can talk to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I want to thank you for coming on the program.
Oh, it's
always a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
All right. Thanks. You've been watching The Wellness Hour. I'm Randy Alvarez for now. I wish you good health.